In the final days of the Shang Dynasty, the name of King Zhou, Dxin, became synonymous with decadence, cruelty, and betrayal of the very kingdom he had sworn to protect. The last ruler of the Shang Dynasty, in the eyes of posterity, became a tempest of power consumed by his unending lust for luxury, where ambition and the allure of wealth led him down a path of destruction for an empire once so glorious. The Shang Dynasty, having prospered through the labor and dedication of its ancestors, began to rot from within under the rule of Dxin. Tensions had accumulated over many years, layered like dust on the most fortified walls. But with the storm of public discontent, everything crumbled. In his youth, King Zhou was an extraordinary figure, born into royalty. He stood out not only for his remarkable physical strength, but also for his keen intelligence. His achievements and victories earned him great admiration from the people. He was a formidable warrior, a leader with a spirit of steel, able to confront entire armies without fear. Every time he went into battle, he was met with the cheers of his soldiers and the reverence of the populace. But with this strength came a pride and underlying cruelty that lay dormant. Dxin wanted more than to be an ordinary king. He desired to become a symbol of absolute power, someone to be feared by all under heaven. Upon ascending the throne, King Zhou didn't hesitate to flaunt his power. He ordered the construction of a massive, extravagant palace that had never been seen before. This palace, a glittering gem in the capital, was adorned with walls covered in jewels and precious items gathered from every corner of the land. King Zhou erected towering pavilions so high that he could look down upon the entire kingdom, where he felt himself akin to a deity ruling over all below. But what truly plunged the Shang Dynasty into decadence was the construction of his infamous wine pool, a colossal lake filled with the finest wines, surrounded by arrays of meat and luxurious dishes. He and his concubines indulged in banquets there, feasting from day to day, to the point that even the sun seemed only an accessory to their endless revelry. In these lavish feasts, the presence of Daji, a woman of breathtaking beauty, was never absent. Daji was not only a beauty, but also wielded an almost hypnotic influence over King Zhou. Captivated by her beauty, beguiled by her sweet words and enchanting gaze, his reason became shrouded. At her urging, he grew harsher, more indifferent to the suffering of his people. He ruthlessly imposed crushing taxes, exploiting the populace to continue his lavish lifestyle. With her subtle yet powerful influence, Daji ignited the flames of ambition and cruelty within King Zhou, pushing him further down the path of tyranny. But what horrified the people the most was Daji's infamous invention, the heated bronze pillar, a brutal punishment devised to eliminate any opposition. This scorching pillar, placed in the courtyard, was so hot it glowed red, and anyone found guilty was forced to embrace it until they succumbed to their burns. Daji would watch with a sinister smile as the condemned writhed in pain, their screams echoing throughout the palace. King Zhou stood by, cold and emotionless, as though humanity had left him, leaving only a tyrant immersed in his own power. Such punishments instilled terror throughout the land, stifling any voices of dissent, but also brewing deep resentment among the people. While King Zhou was lost in unending indulgences, in the west, a spark of resistance was beginning to flare. King Wu of Zhou, the leader of the Zhou clan, began gathering the feudal lords who were disillusioned with King Zhou's rule. With the aid of Jiang Ziya, a brilliant strategist, King Wu resolved to overthrow the Shang. Seeking justice for the people, Jiang Ziya advised him to wait for the opportune moment, for only when the people's hearts had completely turned against Dxin would the uprising succeed. Indeed, by this time, the people's discontent was like a flood about to breach the dam, only needing one more surge to sweep the entire Shang Dynasty away. On the eve of the final battle, King Zhou stood atop his grand palace, looking down upon a capital that was once the symbol of his power and glory. But now, the lights had dimmed, and the city lay in eerie silence. At that moment, Dxin seemed to glimpse the spirits of his ancestors, the Shang kings who had once defended and built this dynasty. They did not gaze upon him with pride but with sorrow, as if the dynasty had been betrayed, as if they knew the Shang was no longer his to command. As the forces of King Wu advanced toward the capital, King Zhou rallied his soldiers to defend his throne. Yet, what no one anticipated was that most of his soldiers had either fled or surrendered. Only his most loyal guards remained to protect the palace, their numbers dwindling. When King Wu and his army flooded into the city, Daji realized his fate was sealed. He chose to face it with the last shred of his dignity. In the end, King Zhou set fire to the very palace he once saw as the stronghold of his power. Sitting on his throne, he watched the flames rise around him, his cold eyes as if trying to etch his final image into history. That image was not of a king resplendent in glory, but of a symbol of the downfall of greatness when power is unmoored from compassion and responsibility. After King Zhou's demise, the Shang Dynasty officially ended, making way for the rise of the Zhou Dynasty. The people looked back on Daji with both resentment and regret. He had once been a valiant warrior, a resolute leader, but in the end, he had become the architect of his own downfall. His name became a warning for generations to come, a testament to the corruption of power and the price paid when duty to the people is forgotten. King Zhou, ultimately, was the embodiment of the tragedy of unchecked power, a profound lesson in the compassion and devotion necessary for true leadership.